There's something deeply unsettling about how reputation works in Hollywood. It's not just about talent, box office numbers, or even court outcomes. It's about narrative. And once you start pulling at the threads of who controls that narrative, how it spreads, and who benefits from it, you realize this isn't just gossip. It's strategy, it's power, and in some cases, it's money changing hands in ways most people never see. Over the past year, a pattern has started to emerge, one that forces you to question whether what we're watching unfold online is organic public opinion or something far more engineered. It begins with a lawsuit, then spirals into allegations of smear campaigns, influencer payments, coordinated unfollows, PR warfare, and even intelligence-level communication strategy. The deeper you look, the harder it becomes to ignore. Recently, a former child star filed a lawsuit claiming she was targeted by a smear campaign orchestrated by high-powered legal and PR figures. On its surface, that sounds serious, and it is. But here's where things take a sharp turn. The same individual who now says she was smeared had previously publicly criticized Blake Lively during the promotional rollout of It Ends With Us. Not subtly, not vaguely, directly. And this is where the irony becomes impossible to ignore. When that criticism was posted online, traditional media outlets quickly amplified it with headlines framing it as backlash. If you believe that certain forms of online criticism qualify as coordinated smear tactics, then you have to ask a difficult question. What makes one wave of negative coverage organic and another manufactured? Who decides?
Because at the same time these accusations are flying, another narrative is developing, one about influencer marketing in crisis management. A veteran publicist known for representing controversial clients openly discussed paying influencers anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000 for a series of supportive posts. That's not speculation, that's strategy, identifying creators with specific audience sizes and leveraging their platforms to shape public perception. And if that's happening in one high-profile legal case, why wouldn't it be happening elsewhere? When you start mapping it out, you see the moving pieces. Influencers with modest followings suddenly pushing aggressively positive narratives, legal filings being dissected selectively, headlines shifting tone after private communications, journalists pressured to adjust framing. These aren't wild conspiracy theories, they're tactics openly acknowledged within PR circles. Then there's the revelation that Blake Lively's legal team retained a former CIA deputy chief of staff to advise on communication strategy during ongoing litigation. That alone raises eyebrows, not because it's illegal, far from it, but because it signals the level of seriousness behind the messaging battle. When intelligence-level crisis communication enters a celebrity lawsuit, this stops being standard Hollywood drama. This becomes strategic narrative warfare. At the same time, subpoenas were issued to over 100 content creators to determine whether they had been coordinated to spread negative content. According to court developments, no evidence surfaced tying those creators to any organized smear operation, which presents another uncomfortable truth. Sometimes online backlash is simply backlash. But here's where it becomes even more layered. Cast members reportedly unfollowed a co-star on the same day. Red carpet appearances were carefully choreographed to avoid proximity. Speculation erupted instantly. And in today's digital ecosystem, synchronized social media behavior doesn't go unnoticed. It creates narrative fuel. It signals alignment. Whether intentional or not, it shapes perception. Because optics matter. In high-profile disputes, winning public opinion can be just as crucial as winning in court. Meanwhile, accusations about smear websites surfaced, anonymous domains allegedly designed to damage reputations. Forensic reviews reportedly found no technical evidence connecting those sites to the accused parties. Yet the headlines moved forward anyway. Speculation travels faster than verification. Once a story enters the public bloodstream, corrections rarely travel as far as the initial claim.
And that's the real tension here. We're watching multiple narratives collide. Allegations of coordinated defamation, public criticism framed as harassment, influencer compensation normalized as marketing, intelligence strategists advising celebrity legal teams, and media outlets amplifying claims before evidence is fully established. It forces one core question. In 2026, is public opinion still formed by people or by professionals? Because if influencers can be paid 5 figures to support a client, if legal teams can hire former intelligence officials for message control, if synchronized social media moves can ignite speculation within minutes, then what does organic even mean anymore? Hollywood has always understood storytelling, but what we're seeing now isn't storytelling on screen, it's storytelling about reality itself. And when lawsuits, PR firms, influencers, and media outlets all intersect in the same narrative ecosystem, separating truth from strategy becomes almost impossible. What started as a dispute between individuals has evolved into something much bigger, a case study in modern reputation warfare, and we're only just beginning to untangle it.
If reputation is currency in Hollywood, then digital infrastructure is the vault that protects or destroys it. And one of the most underestimated battlegrounds in this entire saga isn't Instagram or TikTok, it's Wikipedia. That might sound dramatic, but think about it. Wikipedia isn't just an online encyclopedia anymore. It's the first search result that appears when someone types in your name. It feeds into Google Knowledge panels. It influences journalists doing background checks. It becomes the baseline narrative before anyone even reads a headline. So when that page starts changing, rapidly, repeatedly, aggressively, that's not random internet noise. That's perception being edited in real time. At one point during this broader conflict, Wikipedia pages connected to individuals on one side of the dispute were reportedly altered dozens of times per day. Language was shifted, framing was adjusted, credibility was questioned. And if you understand how Wikipedia's internal hierarchy works, where veteran editors carry more authority than newcomers, you begin to see how difficult it is to correct narratives once they take hold. There was even a recorded discussion circulating in which a strategist described Wikipedia as a minefield, explaining how those with long editing histories wield more leverage when shaping entries. The implication wasn't subtle. If you can't control the page directly, sometimes you let it unfold. You document the vandalism. You use it to prove a point later. You position yourself as the victim of manipulation rather than the aggressor. That's not amateur behavior. That's calculated patience. And this is where the conversation shifts from celebrity drama to something more systemic. Because once you recognize that Wikipedia, SEO, Google search results, influencer placements, and media framing are all interconnected, you realize this isn't a one-platform war, it's an ecosystem. Look at how quickly narratives form now. A video resurfaces years after it was recorded. Within hours, it's clipped, reposted, reframed. Some viewers interpret it one way, others see something entirely different. Then comes the critical moment. Does it trend organically or does someone push it? When one such resurfaced interview gained millions of views, most of them reportedly through reposts on TikTok rather than the original upload, questions emerged. Was this algorithmic momentum? Was it coordinated boosting? Was it simply timing? Viral growth often follows predictable patterns: early spikes, rapid sharing, derivative content multiplying visibility. But in a legal battle where one side is arguing that online backlash was artificially amplified, every spike becomes suspect. The challenge is proving intent. Subpoenas were issued, digital footprints were examined. According to the litigation developments referenced earlier, no direct evidence linked content creators to a coordinated smear operation, yet suspicion lingered in certain corners of the internet. And that's the tricky thing about modern controversies. Absence of proof doesn't always quiet belief. Meanwhile, on Reddit and other forums, counter-narratives started appearing, threads outlining supposed timelines, claims about deleted uploads, assertions about headline changes, revenue speculation, allegations of coordination based purely on timing. The posts gained traction, hundreds of comments deep, despite lacking publicly verifiable sourcing. Here's what makes that fascinating. The same tactics being criticized in court filings, alleged narrative manipulation, selective framing, insinuation without forensic backing, were mirrored by anonymous users attempting to discredit others online. It becomes a hall of mirrors. Everyone accuses everyone else of orchestration. Everyone claims to be reacting, not initiating. And in that environment, confusion becomes the dominant emotion. One of the central tensions in this situation revolves around the concept of organic reaction. If audiences independently interpret a clip as dismissive or rude, that's organic criticism. If influencers are secretly compensated to amplify that criticism, that's coordination. But when influencer compensation is already an acknowledged industry practice in crisis management, the line between marketing and manipulation blurs. Because let's be honest, paid promotion isn't new. Studios pay influencers to hype movies. Brands pay creators to endorse products. Political campaigns pay digital strategists to shape messaging. The novelty here is that those same tools are allegedly being deployed in personal legal disputes. That escalation changes the stakes. Then there's the matter of caste dynamics. Reports suggested coordinated social media behavior during the promotional period. Unfollows happening simultaneously, public appearances structured to avoid shared space, theater access controversies, each move interpreted through a lens of intention. Was it solidarity? Was it distancing? Was it optics management? Or was it simply personal preference amplified by public scrutiny? In an age where social media actions are dissected like body language analysis in a courtroom, even silence becomes commentary. What makes this especially complex is how quickly media outlets step in. An article frames a lawsuit as an exposé. Headlines lean into dramatic language. Quotes denying involvement are included, but the damage of the initial framing often lingers. Speculation transforms into assumption through repetition, and once a narrative is cemented in public consciousness, undoing it is nearly impossible. That's the real battlefield, not courtrooms, but cognition. When audiences begin to question whether any online reaction is authentic, trust erodes across the board. Influencers look compromised, journalists look pressured, PR firms look omnipresent. Even genuine grassroots criticism gets viewed with suspicion. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Both things can exist at once. Organic backlash can happen, paid amplification can happen, coordinated defense strategies can happen. Unrelated fans can independently create smear sites. Without hard forensic proof, assumptions fill the void. The result? A digital fog where perception outruns verification. As this conflict continues to ripple outward, what we're really witnessing is the anatomy of modern reputation defense. It's no longer about issuing a single statement and waiting for the news cycle to move on. It's about monitoring every platform, anticipating every trend, analyzing every algorithmic spike, and preparing counter-narratives before accusations even crystallize. Because in 2026, controlling the story isn't just about what you say, it's about what appears when someone searches your name. Now, zoom out for a second. Because while lawsuits, influencers, Wikipedia edits, and subpoenaed creators dominate one side of this conversation, there's another branch of the same machine that deserves just as much scrutiny. The way Hollywood manufactures intimacy to sell you a story. Not in court, on red carpets, during press tours, in glossy magazine spreads. And if you pay attention long enough, you start to recognize the formula. A new film drops, two co-stars suddenly appear inseparable, interviews become loaded with charged language, obsessed, lost without them, unarmored, Valentine's Day gestures, matching rings engraved with romantic literary quotes, carefully framed photo shoots titled with words like pure obsession. It feels spontaneous. It feels electric. It feels like we're watching something unfold in real time, but we're not. We're watching a marketing strategy that's been refined for decades. They even have a word for it now, showmance. And it works because audiences love proximity between fiction and reality. When chemistry spills off the screen and into interviews, ticket sales spike, engagement rises, comment sections explode with speculation. Suddenly, the film isn't just a film, it's an event tied to a potential real-life romance. We saw it with co-stars promoting romantic dramas before. We saw it when actors leaned into ambiguity while still technically attached to other partners. We saw it when award season performances blurred the lines between character and chemistry. And we're seeing it again now. But something feels different this time. Maybe it's because audiences are more cynical. Maybe it's because social media gives us immediate access to fact-check timelines. Or maybe it's because when one of the actors involved has a spouse producing the film and a young child at home, the flirtation narrative starts to feel less like fun publicity and more like calculated provocation. Because here's the uncomfortable question. If it were real, would we be applauding it? If the gestures were genuine, roses filling hotel rooms on Valentine's Day, statements about mutual obsession, declarations about shared souls, would that be romantic or would it be messy? That tension is the point. Publicists understand that speculation fuels attention. Attention fuels clicks. Clicks fuel coverage. Coverage fuels box office. Even backlash is engagement. In fact, backlash can be even more powerful because it invites debate, and debate keeps the film in the algorithm. What's especially revealing is how these narratives often intensify when there are whispers about the film's quality. When early critic reactions are lukewarm or harsh, press tours subtly pivot. Less focus on plot, more focus on behind-the-scenes dynamics. Viral moments replace critical acclaim. If audiences might hesitate to watch because reviews are poor, give them something else to talk about. Make them curious. Make them speculate. Make them argue. Because arguing still buys tickets. But there's another layer here that's harder to ignore. The authenticity problem. When you cast a 35-year-old actress to portray a teenager in an 18th century setting, audiences notice. When her skin is flawless, her features immaculately maintained, her expressions restrained by cosmetic work, and you place her in a story rooted in raw emotional torment, something disconnects. It's not about condemning cosmetic procedures, it's about believability. Period dramas depend on immersion. Dirt under fingernails, weathered skin, imperfect teeth, faces that move, faces that crack under grief. When a character is supposed to be 16 to 18 years old, but the actor visibly carries the polish of modern celebrity aesthetics, the illusion fractures. And when the illusion fractures, the emotion doesn't land the same way. Some directors have quietly addressed this by asking actors to pause cosmetic treatments before filming period pieces, because faces tell stories. Micro-expressions matter. Frozen foreheads don't communicate 1790s anguish very convincingly. Audiences may not consciously articulate it, but they feel it. This connects back to the larger theme running through everything we've discussed: authenticity versus construction. Influencer narratives can be constructed, Wikipedia entries can be constructed, red carpet romances can be constructed, even faces can be constructed. And the more construction audiences detect, the more distrust grows. That distrust is what makes modern PR battles so volatile. People don't just react to what's presented, they react to the sense that they're being managed. When viewers believe they're being nudged toward a conclusion, whether it's this person is a villain, this person is a victim, or these two are madly in love, they push back harder. Hollywood has always shaped stories. That's its job. But the difference now is that audiences can see the seams. They can trace timelines. They can compare headlines. They can screenshot edits. They can analyze engagement spikes. They can detect when emotional beats feel scripted off-screen. And once that awareness exists, every narrative, legal, romantic, professional, gets interrogated. So whether we're talking about smear campaign allegations, influencer payments, synchronized unfollows, Wikipedia edit wars, or perfectly timed red carpet chemistry, the through line remains the same: control the story. Because in the digital age, the story is everything. Not just the one in theaters, the one about the people behind it. And the real drama isn't always happening on screen.